Pokemon Pokopia's success is very interesting because this is the most critically acclaimed game of the year. It's a huge hit. People are obsessed with it. And I think it's going to be very, very difficult to downplay it the way that the game industry does for typical Pokemon releases for a lot of reasons. Not only because it's such a great game and because it's been so critically acclaimed, it has a higher Metacritic score than Resident Evil Requiem now. What we're seeing now is that like Pokemon Pokopia's success is going to lead it to being one of the big tentpole titles for Nintendo Switch 2. And as a result of that, I have a very hard time believing that the industry is going to do anything to at least to downplay the title. Like at the very least, I think this is going to be nominated for Game of the Year for several outlets, and hopefully it will rightfully earn that distinction. Now, we have a long history of Game of the Year being like compromised and corrupt, but it's been so long since the Nintendo W that the industry may go ahead and give it to Pokopia just to create the illusion that they're not as biased as they are, right? And anyway, like they might go with that line of thought, like, well, this isn't a Nintendo team making this, so that means that we can get away with giving it Game of the Year while still downplaying Nintendo's core business and their core games. Like maybe that'll happen, but like looking back on it, it's very interesting seeing what happened in 2020, where Animal Crossing New Horizons was the undisputed Game of the Year for 2020, right? You know, it was the most popular game that year. It sold tens of millions of units, like 50 million units now, I believe. You know, it's like the best-selling original title for Nintendo Switch 1. Like, it was this huge cultural phenomenon. You know, people still play it religiously to this day. And it lost to The Last of Us Part 2, okay? Like, people forget this. It's very easy to forget this. But, like, the narrative when, like, Animal Crossing New Horizons came out was that, like, it would lose to Doom Eternal and it would get buried. And, of course, that didn't happen. But, like, the simple fact of the matter is, Animal Crossing New Horizons was this banger of a game, you know, just did all these numbers, did so well, was so popular, and yet was completely buried so Jeff and the boys could shill The Last of Us Part 2. Okay? Like, that's what they did. That's what they tried to do. So, Pokopia is kind of in the same boat, where if they try and downplay this game again, they run the risk of being exposed as being like anti-Nintendo. Like, what exactly is coming out this year that's better than Pokopia? Like, you can't name a single thing that's coming out. Like, Grand Theft Auto 6, not as good as Pokopia. Like, you know, COD, not as good as Pokopia. You know, they're talking about like High Guard. I don't even know. Like, again, we're like in March now, and we still don't have the game that they're gonna try and shill as like the best game of the year, essentially. And obviously that game is going to come out of nowhere, and it's going to be like they're going to try and promote it, they're going to try and shill it, they're going to do everything they possibly can, but it's like I don't think they can possibly circumvent gaslight people into thinking it's bigger than Pokopia. Like, I think they're going to be in a really bad position where like the Switch 2 is so popular and so successful, and Pokopia is such an iconic game that if they try and snub Pokemon Pokopia, it's going to lead to like more and more of a backlash to like how they do their business and how they make these decisions. Because Pokopia 100% is going to be the game that's remembered this year. I suspect it's going to be remembered as one of the best Pokemon games of all time. I expect it's going to be remembered as like, you know, one of the best games of the decade, one of the best games Nintendo's ever put out. You know, it's a huge deal. It's better than New Horizons even, right? And I think everyone kind of already agrees on that. But, like, the issue of what we're seeing now is that, like, the gaming journalism industry is very, very desperate to downplay this game. Just look at how they acted in regards to, like, the Resident Evil versus Pokopia thing. Like, the narrative initially was that Requiem would, like, demolish Pokopia, and Requiem would be this big deal, and it would have the higher Metacritic score, and it didn't happen. Like, Pokopia's outsold it. It has a higher Metacritic score. Even, like, the troll reviews that initially brought down Pokopia to an 88 have been circumvented by, like, you know, just new outlets coming in and giving it, like, you know, an extra 2 points. Like, theoretically, this is a game that should be, like, I think around the 94, 95 range, honestly. Like, if it wasn't for, like, all the people trying to downplay it, the Metacritic score would be a lot higher than what it is. This is not a 90 Metacritic score. This is, like, way higher than that. It's so much better than Requiem, it's not even funny. But, like, the narrative has always been that, like, that Pokopia couldn't compete, that this was a minor release, that this wasn't going to sell Switch 2s. And not only was that not true, it was completely and objectively wrong. Like, not only did it sell Switch 2s, it became the system seller for this season, you know? It became the big first game exclusive title for Nintendo consoles. Like, this is a huge deal. And yet we're still in that phase where, like, people are trying to downplay it, trying to make it out like the Switch 2 doesn't have anything this year, trying to, like, write this thing off. And what we're seeing is just more and more of the audience are just acknowledging this and pointing out how ridiculous this is. Like, you can't just write this off as a simple kids game, because it's so much more complex and nuanced than most AAA games out there. Way more hardcore. You know, it takes way more of a commitment to do everything in Pokopia. It takes way more time. There's way more, like, skill involved to make your town look aesthetically pleasing, you know. Like, again, Pokopia is a step above for this genre. It's way better than something like Stardew Valley or The Sims. And yet, we're still in that phase where the gaming community is trying to rally to downplay it. You know, they really are not happy with how the Switch 2 is doing and how popular Nintendo is right now. And that's why so many of them are rallying behind people like Takashi Mochizuki, who are trying to tell people that, like, there are no games on Switch 2. Like, it's a complete cope. You know, everyone knows it's a cope. But what we're seeing is the slow, gradual decline of this narrative. Like, we're seeing more and more people start to openly reject it and mock it. And I don't think we're that far off to, like, the Game Awards not only being laughed at and ignored, but people outright, like, not even bothering to care about the show. Like, you know, like, even going into it, like, I'm telling people that, like, yeah, I don't care about who wins. I don't care about what happens. I don't care about what they try to do. Because, like, nobody really cares, fundamentally. Like, it's been demonstrated at this point pretty clearly, pretty absolutely, that the Game Awards desperately tries to downplay Nintendo at every opportunity. You know, Jeff Keighley even, like, tried to show Power World back when that first came out. You know, and what we're seeing now is just the slow, gradual decline of that mentality. Like, what we're seeing right now is more and more people speaking out about Nintendo, about, like, what's going on here, about what's going on with the with the agenda, and we're seeing more and more people willing to admit that no matter what happens, Pokemon Pokopia is absolutely one of the best games of the year.